So Apostle is a new horror film released by Netflix, and it stars Dan Stevens as a gentleman who is on a quest to go after and find his sister, who has mysteriously disappeared on this island where this religious cult led by Michael Sheen is held, and now we have the movie. To tell you the truth, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect from Apostle. Like, I watched the trailer for it like 2 days before I actually sat down and watched it. And needless to say that the trailer did have me intrigued. I thought it was going to be an interesting horror film, but part of me also thought that it was just going to be a gorno for the sake of gore, because gore is fashionable when it comes to making low-budget horror films. To my surprise, Apostle is not only a great horror film, it is one of the best films of the year. Is it in my top 10 personally? No, not at all. But I do think it is a darn good horror film and one of the best of 2018. First of all, I really dug the religious dynamic of this cult, because it really goes to show that when it comes to religion, you guys should know that I do have a religious background. I was grown up religious for sure, and I do think there are some good things about religion. I think that all the lessons about being a good person and applying that into your life is something that everybody needs to learn. But you can have people inside of a religious denomination who say that they're doing the work of God, but in reality, they're just doing work for themselves. And that's something that I really dug that this film touched on, that many films have touched on, is that you look at somebody and you don't always take what they say at face value. And if you're looking at somebody and listening to them and you're continuously like, that is a great idea, you are a genius, then you're just blindly following, and that's not smart for anybody in society. And Dan Stevens' character in here, I love Dan Stevens as an actor. I personally do. He's one of my favorites. But the fact of the matter is that his character in here, while he's a good, devout person who's obviously had a lot of damage in his past, the fact is there wasn't enough development to get me fully on board with him. I wanted him to save his sister because that's obviously a noble cause that he's going after. But me personally, I couldn't really latch onto him. I latched onto him about as much as I latched onto Neil Armstrong as a character in First Man. He's a, great person. You want him to be okay because he's a human being. But other than that, I didn't really care all that much. Luckily, though, the build-up and all the horror elements inside Apostle made it completely worth it for me. The lore that they build up inside of Apostle, though it is based around religion and cult type things, the film has a very Grimm Brothers fairy tale to it. You have the build-up, the mythology present, and then everything that comes apart and is unleashed in the third act of the movie. And the build-up, while it was very, very slow, I enjoyed how they built the dynamics between the characters, how they built the dynamic of this island and the community that's established here. It's something that a lot of horror films try to do, but something that very few horror films successfully do. And I was so surprised and pleased that they did it so excellently well in here. And the third act of the movie, I could talk about the second half, because the second act of the movie is where things start to get introduced. But the main point where I got most of my fulfillment from this film was in the third act of the movie. And when it's unleashed, all the gorno stuff that you hear people are going to say about the movie, it's from this third act. There are probably going to be statements of people saying that Apostle went too far, that it was just too over the top. But generally, when it comes to film with this kind of material, the people are always going to say that. You look at a film like Hereditary. There were those people who were saying that Hereditary was too over the top because of the subject matter in there. But when it comes to Apostle, I mean, I thought it worked. I thought the end of the movie was exactly what it needed to be, and the way the mythology and all the lore was established in the second act, how it was applied into the third act, was my favorite part of it. Consequences are reached, characters die, pretty much hell is unleashed in this world, and it was pretty darn great to see. Guys, what you need to know about Apostle is a very effective, very timely horror film, especially in today's day and age. And what Netflix was able to do with this is that Netflix, in my personal opinion, they don't have a lot of great stuff going for them, but if you look at their horror lineup over the past couple of years, I mean, you look at Gerald's Game, and now you look at Apostle. I mean, they're 2 for 2 for me as far as their horror is concerned, and I think Apostle is a really darn good horror film, especially for the month of October. So at the end of the day, with all that considered, I'll say that Apostle is a good casual watch. Now, as far as what your enjoyment will be for Apostle if you're not a horror fan, I can't clarify that. But the fact of the matter is, it's your call whether you choose to watch it or not. But either way, guys, it's up to you because it is what you say that matters. Have you seen Apostle? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you indifferent because you haven't seen it? Whatever your thoughts are, leave them down in the comment section below. And of course, if you want more reviews from me, click right up there at the top of the screen. If you want to see the sweet podcast by me and my buddy Zach Pope, click on the bottom of the screen. And if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right there and subscribe and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema. You all have a fantastic day.